NASCAR drivers are starting to realize Shane van Gisbergen might be impossible to stop on road courses. Because now even NASCAR legends are openly admitting something that almost nobody wanted to say out loud before. SVG has an advantage most Cup drivers still don't fully understand how to match. And when Dale Earnhardt Jr. finally explained what makes Shane van Gisbergen so dangerous behind the wheel, it instantly changed the conversation around the entire NASCAR garage. Now fans are asking a massive question heading into the next stretch of the season. What happens if NASCAR still hasn't figured him out by the playoffs? And trust me, once you hear what Dale Jr. and other NASCAR veterans revealed about SVG's driving style, confidence, and racecraft, you'll understand why so many drivers suddenly look uncomfortable every time he unloads at a road course. So make sure you watch this video all the way to the end, because the deeper this story goes, the crazier it gets. If you enjoy NASCAR stories like this, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the family here at NASCAR Nation News, because we've got more insane NASCAR stories coming every single week. What makes this entire situation so fascinating is that Shane van Gisbergen didn't arrive in NASCAR with the normal rookie mindset. Most international drivers come into Cup racing trying to survive. SVG came in expecting to attack, and that mentality alone already made him different from almost everybody else in the garage. When he shocked the NASCAR world by winning his very first Cup Series race in Chicago back in 2023, a lot of people thought it was just a perfect storm. Fans said it was rain, strategy, street racing experience, or beginner luck. But now, that excuse is disappearing fast. Because the more NASCAR drivers compete against him on road courses, the more obvious it becomes that SVG is doing things differently behind the wheel. And according to Dale Earnhardt Jr., the biggest difference is not raw speed, it's comfort. Dale Jr. explained that SVG drives these cars with a level of confidence and aggression that most NASCAR drivers simply aren't used to on road courses. While many Cup drivers are fighting the car, protecting tires, and carefully managing braking zones, SVG looks completely relaxed, pushing the car right to the limit. That's what scares people. He doesn't look nervous entering corners. He doesn't look overwhelmed under braking. And he rarely looks out of control even when he's driving harder than everybody else around him. Dale Jr. basically described it like SVG sees opportunities other drivers don't even attempt. And honestly, once you watch the onboard footage, you can see exactly what he means. At tracks like Coda and Watkins Glen, SVG has repeatedly attacked braking zones far deeper than most Cup veterans are comfortable attempting. There are moments where it almost looks like he's going to miss the corner completely, and then somehow the car rotates perfectly underneath him. That's where drivers start panicking. Because when another driver can consistently brake later without destroying tires or losing exit speed, it creates non-stop pressure every lap. One tiny hesitation from the car behind him, and SVG immediately gains multiple car lengths. Even some veteran drivers have quietly admitted they're studying his road course footage now. That alone tells you how serious this is becoming. Because NASCAR drivers almost never openly admit another competitor has exposed a weakness in their driving style. And that's where another huge point from these NASCAR legends becomes important. They explained that Shane van Gisbergen's Supercars background may be giving him an advantage modern Cup drivers never fully developed. Supercars demand aggression. Drivers constantly throw heavy cars into corners, fight wheel hop under braking, and control sliding cars during brutal races. So when SVG jumped into NASCAR machinery, many of those instincts transferred over perfectly. Meanwhile, a lot of current NASCAR stars grew up primarily mastering oval racing. That means road racing often becomes more about minimizing mistakes than maximizing aggression. SVG approaches it completely differently. To him, chaos feels normal. That's why his car control looks so natural compared to everybody else. And honestly, the timing of all this is making the pressure even bigger. Because now NASCAR drivers are no longer treating SVG like a fun international guest appearance. He's becoming a legitimate weekly threat whenever the schedule turns right. Every time NASCAR heads to a road course now, fans immediately circle SVG as one of the favorites. That changes everything psychologically inside the garage. Drivers know the expectations. Teams know the expectations. And most importantly, SVG knows it too. You can actually see his confidence growing every race weekend. That's another thing people aren't talking about enough. At first, SVG looked like a talented outsider learning NASCAR. Now he's starting to look comfortable inside the NASCAR system itself. That should terrify the competition. Because if he's already this dangerous while still adapting to full-time stock car racing, what happens after another full year of experience? And the craziest part is that some NASCAR veterans believe the gap could actually grow larger. Why? Because most drivers can't suddenly reinvent their entire driving style overnight. The habits they've built over years of oval racing are deeply ingrained. SVG doesn't have those same limitations. He already developed a completely different racing mentality long before arriving in NASCAR. That's why Dale Jr.'s comments hit the NASCAR world so hard. He wasn't just praising SVG. He was explaining why matching him may be far more complicated than people realize. And recent races have backed that up. Whenever SVG unloads at a road course, the conversation instantly changes from, can he compete, to, who can stop him? That's a completely different level of respect. What makes this even crazier is that other drivers are clearly starting to feel the pressure. Teams are spending more time studying braking data, more simulator sessions, more road course preparation. The garage understands that SVG exposed a weakness, and nobody wants to keep getting embarrassed on national television. Even drivers like Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Chase Elliott know road course execution is becoming more important every season. Because if SVG keeps dominating these events, NASCAR teams may eventually need entirely new strategies just to compete with him. And here's the truly scary part for the rest of the field. SVG still isn't considered elite on oval tracks yet. Think about that for a second. If he ever becomes even average on ovals consistently, the rest of the garage could have a serious problem. Because then you're no longer talking about a dangerous road course specialist. You're talking about a driver who could eventually become a legitimate overall Cup Series threat. And confidence in racing can become unbelievably dangerous. Once a driver starts expecting to win, they attack races differently. That's exactly what fans are beginning to see from Shane van Gisbergen. Even his body language feels different now compared to his first NASCAR appearances. He looks calmer, more aggressive, more patient, and honestly, more intimidating. That's a terrifying combination heading into the upcoming races, especially with more road course events still remaining on the schedule. And fans already know what everybody will be watching next. Can SVG continue dominating once NASCAR returns to another technical road course? Because if he does, the conversation around his future is going to explode even more. People will start asking bigger questions. Could he become one of NASCAR's next major stars? Could teams start building entire road course programs specifically around beating him? And eventually, could SVG become dangerous enough overall to fight for championships in the Cup Series? Just imagine how insane that would have sounded 2 years ago. A driver from Supercars coming into NASCAR. and forcing legends like Dale Earnhardt Jr. to explain why the garage still can't figure him out. That's exactly why this story has become so massive. SVG isn't just winning races. He's changing how NASCAR drivers think about road racing itself. And until somebody consistently proves they can stop him, the pressure inside the garage is only going to grow larger every single week. Because right now, Shane van Gisbergen doesn't look like a temporary problem. He looks like the future of road course racing in NASCAR. And honestly, that might be the scariest part of all.